What's going on, Midlothian? Live here, Cement City Chatter Podcast. Coming back this week. We've got an exciting show for you this week. To my right, as always, live from the Opoka Palace, Mr. John Opoka. How are you today, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. Across from me, the man, the myth, the legend, Midlothian's most beloved soul, Tim Wilkins. I'm getting really good at these, or really bad, one or the other.
I don't know. I think you're working on material for your stand-up routine.
No, I've never. That might be something to do, though. A stand-up comedy routine. I think I could do it, but most people laugh, at me, not.
Oh no, that's not true. No.
No, but I'm very excited. It's okay. I'm just gonna get right into it. Midlothian, we've got something very special for you tonight. Here in the studio, we've got Sean Wilson. You may know the name, but you definitely know Wilson Seafood that's coming to Founders Row. And we nailed him down. We got him here in the studio.
This is super
Actually,
exciting.
we're just disclaimer, this is take two because we did the first podcast the other night in the rainstorm.
I tripped over one of the wires is what happened.
So we've had to drag him out twice. So anyways, how you doing, Sean?
Great, Rob. Thank you, everyone, for having me on.
Man, we're so excited about this restaurant. We've all been watching it being built over there in Founders Row.
Founders Row, and that is a classy place. I would tell you what, it is beautiful. I appreciate everything about that location. I like where it is relative to the city, in the center of the city. I love that they're using those historic homes, and in this case, a church, right, Sean?
Yes, we're in a church from Italy, Texas, that was built in the 1890s.
Oh, yeah,
Nice.
Are they able to what are they doing with the church? Like, are we talking original floors, ceilings? Like, I imagine it's not the actual Sistine Chapel painting on the ceiling or anything like that. But
They've retained much of the original architecture and furnishings as they could. The stained glass windows that you'll see were original. The booths
Gorgeous.
were getting cut out from the pews. So some of our seating at the restaurant will be the actual pews that.
Oh, man, that's cool.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
I always wanted to get a big church pew and put it in my shop because, I think they're comfortable. Even though they're hard wood, they're just comfortable. They have that nice slope to them.
The perfect angle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if
You fall right asleep in a church pew.
Yeah, exactly.
right, you get the good Catholic church pews, and you can, kneel down. What are we doing? Volume changes again?
Nope.
Okay, well then it's just me. Anyways, so like I said, we're really excited to have you in. I mean, just to tell Midlothian a little bit about your background. I think a lot of people, being that we're just a town over from where your restaurant was, but a little bit about yourself and how you came to Midlothian.
So as a foodie, I was blessed to be raised in New Orleans with my father, who's the general manager of Brennan's. And fast forward a few years, he opens a restaurant in Cedar Hill, David's Seafood Grill, as most of you probably know.
Right.
And we successfully ran that for 14 years. I got very involved in the community to do things for the charities and others. It wasn't just about having a restaurant and serving something fast and quick. It's what can we do for our community to be involved. And that was part of the culture. It's a very unique culture where everyone's a friend instead of just a customer. You should be served and not have an order taker.
And that concept right there, that is definitely one of the things that sets your restaurant apart from others. And I know you spent some time at the previous restaurant, David's, and I know you don't remember this, but I and my kids distinctly remember in 2019 meeting you as you were going table to table introducing yourself and making sure everybody had what they needed. And, that really does a lot to set your restaurant apart from, just another casual place, where somebody comes up, they may not know the menu, or they may be super inflexible, on accommodating, a dietary restrictions or whatever. So.
Right. So speaking of the menu, I think one of the main questions that's circulated around town is about the menu. Are we going to have pretty much the same type of menu that we had at David's, or?
Yes, the menu will be pretty much like at David's. A few things will be have gone away. We've added some new things, but one of the biggest advantages that we see as a place to dine and eat with your friends is that we do everything from scratch. So if you want something that may not be on the menu, yet we have all the ingredients, there's no reason why we can't make it for you. And it's just,
So
okay.
you were talking about this one time. You had this, someone wanted the pecan chicken, right?
Right, pecan chicken. I had a server and who would not do a pecan chicken for a grass. Now, on the we do pecan fish. And because the pecan chicken wasn't directly on the menu, they didn't think outside the box, not the fact that you could put the pecan crust on any protein. And he just said, no, it's not on the menu, we can't do it. And I just explained to him, a teachable moment.
Right.
That you can put that pecan crust on anything, whether it was chicken, or even if you wanted to do like a piece of eggplant, you could put the pecan crust on an eggplant and make a vegan, vegetarian dish out of it. It's just, what do they want? And as long as we have it and can meet their dietary restrictions, we've put it together for people.
Yeah, and I think that goes a lot into how you've been able to develop the culture that David's had. I mean, I wish we didn't have the technical difficulties that we had the other night. I mean, when we originally shot this podcast, there were 16 people all here in the studio that came to watch this podcast. I mean, and these are people who were loyal friends. I mean, customers that either maybe we were friends first, customers first, friends first, but regardless, loyal people who enjoyed their time at David's Seafood. I mean, I was last night I was talking to a woman here in town at another establishment, Leanne Clark. Everybody out there probably knows Leanne. You can't miss her. I mean, fancy hats she wears and the cowboy boots. But, I was talking to her and that's what she literally mentioned the exact same thing. It's like, oh man, is he going to have the bar there still? 'Cause, where we hang out and everybody knows your name, atmosphere. So I think that's just something that is a common denominator when you talk about your restaurant, is the culture and how it's just a friendly place.
Right, and it goes back to being served and being recognized, but yet at the same time, it's not upscale or stuffy. Once you are a regular and once we can indoctrinate the new staff that we get with the culture that we're trying to provide, the regulars will be recognized. So we have a particular doctor who comes in 2 or 3 times a week, and the regular staff knows he drinks Tanqueray and tonic, and they know his car, and they'll see him in the parking lot, and by the time he hits the door, he has a Tanqueray and tonic ready. And so part of that is me and my management team implementing it and communicating to our staff members what the expectation is, besides living it and doing it and cultivating it ourselves, because that's why after David's been closed for 3 years, there's these group of friends that still show up for events because there's our friends that were once customers there and we treated them well, and that's the way they anticipate being treated in Midlothian. Right. And the other part of that is the staff. We, at the same time that my wife and I would host parties for some of our new friends or friends from the restaurant, that's still the staff members as well. And we were holding parties for the staff, and the staff was invited. Right now, it's looking that 80% of our kitchen in Midlothian, the kitchen workers, the cooks, the kitchen manager, we are retaining and will come to Midlothian.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And
That is-
our servers and bartenders isn't as high a percentage. A lot of them have graduated, gotten their master's degree, moved away, etc. But some of the ones that live in town are still communicating, come to our parties and saying, hey, where do I fit in and get me a spot?
Right. So when I think we talked about this the other night as well, I think we just hit to the date, the 3-year mark that you had shut the restaurant down.
Mm-hmm.
And that was March 16th of 2020 due to the COVID pandemic. Man, what a testament to, I guess, your leadership, being able to retain that high of a percentage of your employees 3 years after the fact. I'm sure some of them had to, they haven't all just been on unemployment for the last 3 years. They've had to go,
Yes, they've gotten jobs. I've helped some of them get jobs. Some of them, if I may need a dog sitter or a house sitter or something, it's just, hey, and you try to help them out.
yeah.
And that's what it is. It's about, because again, they're not just your employee.
So you've shown loyalty to them, and now they're showing loyalty to you by coming back when it's time.
Yes, and my wife learned some interesting things about me as a manager as she heard at one of the parties, one of my hourly managers tell some stories about the, let's call it the demanding side of Sean.
Right.
So tell us more.
Well, you have to be demanding to an extent. I tell my wife this all the time. You have the a guy.
Do you tell your wife that she needs to be more demanding?
No, she doesn't
I'd
need to be
careful
more
with that.
demanding. I said my level of demandingness is just because I care about a certain level of excellence.
You have expectations you'd like met.
Yes, or exceeded. And it's something we did talk about last time on the podcast when we were talking about the food, how I'm such a foodie that I know the grill grates that were used at David's will impart some of the flavor on what proteins we cook here in Midlothian.
Yeah, literally, not just figuratively, but literally, right?
Yes. And so I was able to keep those, and hopefully they will fit the new piece of equipment up here, and we will have that flavor. And my comparison was to like a cast iron skillet. If
Right.
it's seasoned, those who cook with them know the difference of a brand new one versus the seasoned one. It's a difference. And I'm that concerned about my expectations and wanted to be there and my demands.
So just a question, and this is, just based on, I guess, being a chef yourself and whatnot. What's the timeline? Let's just say the grates don't fit, and you've got to put new grates on it. What's the warm up time to where?
There really isn't. It's about usage. And the more you use it, the more they'll season in and settle in.
Yeah. So even if it doesn't work, eventually it'll get to where you want it.
Yes.
I'm just, I'm kind of a hot pocket in the microwave type of guy. So
The Fosta pasta, where you throw the pasta in a little container, fill it up with water, put it in the microwave.
Nick who does all the cooking in my house. But no. So now that we're getting closer and closer to opening time, which to ask the question
May.
directly, May.
May.
I already knew the answer, but
Right now
so we're shooting for May. We're shooting for May for the Wilson Seafood grand opening.
And hopefully May this year.
May this year.
Yep. Hopefully.
You did do that. So I think what we should do is we can go ahead and release the original podcast if it just with a disclaimer, technical difficulty, because we did have a really good time. It was a really good time, but I just want to make sure that, we properly present these questions and everything to the community as well. But
well, I tell you what, and so, we did have,
because we had a blast.
we did have a blast. But one of the things I left with the impression of was who we have here. This man sitting next to me is a treasure, and
thank you, Tim.
it is next to me, Rob.
I
not
feel
across
so
from me.
loved. Oh, you mean Sean?
But no. In all seriousness, to have we all appreciate a good meal. We all appreciate good service, but it makes it so much better when you know who's behind it, and you realize the heart of the person and the passion that they have for what they're doing and what they're trying to accomplish. And that was something I really walked away with. On this last time that Sean was here, was realizing that we are extremely lucky that he chose Midlothian to open his restaurant, because he could open that anywhere. And
you're absolutely right.
It'll be a success anywhere. But the fact that he chose Midlothian, where we are, and that he worked with Steven to have it in Founders Row, which is just an absolute gem of a location.
Anything he touches turns to gold. So I have nothing but high expectations.
Yeah, but not because it's just magic. It's like that man does a lot of
He
work.
does. So have you and
Yes.
Steven worked together on as far as, because he's Steven's an architect. He's a designer. Has this been a collaboration, or have you designed this whole thing?
No, this has been about a 5-year collaboration.
Really?
We talked about opening something in Midlothian while David's was open, and
Yeah, he was a customer of yours there, right?
yes,
Excellent.
yes, they were regular customers there. And once he spearheaded it, he was like, "Okay, this is where you need to be." And we wanted, part of a successful business from the financial side is the location, of course.
Yeah.
And so this is the location. The 287 corridor, you go up, you go down, and they had the right spot for it. I didn't want to be right on a major thoroughfare. A lot of restaurants and businesses like that. But at the same time, on that major thoroughfare, there's a lot of people passing you by who don't stop. And so if you're off, it's a different perspective. But when you're right off of it, then they'll get off and go.
Yeah. So
Quite frankly, I'd rather not have the Traveler. I'm sorry, but
yeah.
I think to hoard it to myself.
No,
Because it's going to be so hard getting everybody in here anyway, because this place is going to be jam-packed. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, you've got your website up, and I know people can go on and, I guess, request
They can...
because you're going to have some events.
Yeah, so we're going to have 3 pre-opening events. A lot of the city dignitaries for one of them. One of them will be the family and friends for the employees who are working there and some of our regulars at David's. And then one will be just for the regulars at David's. And then we're going to have our grand opening. And right now, I finally got a number. We're looking at over 800 people in the last month that have
Wow.
requested tickets
Wow.
to the grand opening. And so we're trying to determine how we're going to accomplish that.
Right.
We seat 160, or I don't know, 800 into 160.
So how many people can you 160
Well, how
is
about,
what
how
you
about a
can-
multi-day grand opening? Yeah.
And it'll be like grand opening week.
There you go.
Yeah, we're going to have to be.
Yeah, it'll have to be grand opening week, and we'll do a special each day for them.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
It sounds like I'm going to have to call Rob to call his mom to call you to get a spot.
Are you going to have a chef's table?
No chef's table.
Okay.
Nobody does chef's tables anymore. My dad used to like to sit at the chef's table at P.F. Chang's.
Jeff Chang's has a chef's table.
Yes, they do.
Really?
At the North Park location, it's in the kitchen. It's actually pretty cool.
Huh.
So, he liked to sit back there, and we'd go back there every time we go to P.F. Chang's, and I'm like, why are we in the kitchen? Well, you know? But again, back to what you talked about, people coming in and their Tanqueray and tonic being ready for them. And he was a regular at P.F. Chang. So, you know, that's where he liked to sit. I don't know why. Nobody could see him but the staff in the kitchen.
Maybe that's why.
You know?
You know, and he was recognized, and the important thing, as you know, from the business, especially the hospitality business, is to be able to be recognized and recognize your guests. And part of being recognized, and one of the things that my father taught me, is to be involved in the community. So as I mentioned about the pre-opening, my wife and I are looking for some local charities that we're going to raise funds for, because it's not just opening a business to make money and to serve food. It's like, well, what else can we do? So you get involved in the community. You go sit on boards like the Education Foundation, and you're making donations to, I don't know of any charities yet in Midlothian. I suspect I'll be
Oh,
here
yeah.
for
Actually,
some.
I mean,
Funny you mentioned that.
Funny you mentioned that. And off camera, I'm sure Tim can talk to you one that
So I'm just going to plug a couple
lot
right
of
now.
a lot
course,
of the
everybody-
people
everybody
in
knows
town.
Manor House.
I was
you know,
thinking Chains
food
of Grace,
pantry.
but-
Yeah, well, there's Chains of Grace, and then there's a new one that is not real well known. The Heights. It's a battered women's shelter.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And then Chains of Grace, which everybody knows, Dr. Rick Davis
Yes.
is the head of that.
Yeah, you fell right into my little. You didn't know I was the,
Right.
the token charity guy around
We've
here.
already spent your money. No,
That's what it's there for.
but no. So back to the collaboration with Stephen and yourself. How's that been just in the city in general? Roadblocks or any?
You know, we haven't had any roadblocks from my perspective that relate to the city. You know, we started it pre-COVID, so during COVID we had some issues, and you know, everybody had issues during COVID, and then things have picked up and moved. Construction moves slower, but the delays aren't from the city. You know, Stephen and I have worked well together. I designed the kitchen and the layout and the menu, and he and Logan and their team put together the interior. My wife and I, you know, look at things and kind of have final approval.
Right.
But for the most part, it's not really for the most part, it's them.
Right.
Very elegant, I'm sure.
You know, that's the challenge. They like to do things elegant. We wanted to have a feel a little bit more upscale from David's, but still casual and comfortable, where it's elegant enough to where it's date night or where you want to go to celebrate your birthday, but at the same time you're comfortable and you'll bring your family there.
So
Very
and that goes back to what we were talking about, the culture, being able to do both. You know, having that establishment that is good for date night, but it's also good for, hey Tim, meet me up at, you know,
Yeah.
David's at 6 for a couple, and or Wilson's will be,
Yeah.
I'll be there.
and to do that as well.
Right, and you know, it's the culture. There's no other way to say it, because there are times, you know, I walk through. I don't know if they can see the Hawaiian style
Oh, yeah.
shirt. That's kind of my uniform. And if I'm sampling something that we're making it back, you know, a potential new menu item with the table, or I want to try what we're sending out of the kitchen, there are certain regular guests that I can walk up to their plate and just take food off of them. One of them here was last Thursday. I'll walk up to his plate and take a shrimp or whatever he's eating and start eating it and talking. And a couple people like, ooh, really? It's like, it's okay.
It's
all good. We're friends. It's all
Exactly.
good.
No, that's just the environment you want to be in. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and I got to tell you, everybody that you brought the other night, I mean, there's some really great people I got to meet. And I look forward to seeing them once you open.
That was a really interesting cross section of just, I mean, I guess society or whatever. But I mean, you know, it wasn't the one commonality that they had was that they were regulars at David's. But beyond that, they all did different things at different times, different ages, and different people. You know, but it was the restaurant that brought them together, and now they're friends.
Right.
Yes.
And for 3 years they haven't had that, and here we go again. So it's got to be pretty exciting. I mean,
you can be tracking. I mean, you're not only having Midlothian customers, but you can have surrounding communities flocking your restaurant.
Yes.
Which is going to be amazing for you.
Very excited about that. Yes.
Yeah.
so what's the word on the street that you're getting from your Cedar Hill crowd? I mean, we should expect them here in Midlothian, I'd assume. Or
Yes.
have you had anybody say, "Why are you moving out there?" Or,
Early on, and I got some offers to stay in Cedar Hill,
I'm sure.
but for the culture and the business and where I wanted everything to be, and potential growth perspective, this community of Midlothian, working with Stephen and Logan and being down here, I determined was best, and that's what we went for, and that's what we're doing. And those disgruntled Cedar Hillites or Cedar Hillians,
Yeah. It'll be all right.
they'll be all right, and they're still going to
The
come
hill
down
people.
because it's still the culture.
Yeah.
They don't want to lose that culture. One of our regulars referred to it as their country club without paying dues.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's always nice.
I'm really excited about
Yeah,
going.
We're really blessed to be getting a restaurant of this caliber here, one where it is a place you can go, to take somebody that you're trying to make a good impression on, but also just feel comfortable at the same time. And it really does just come down to the people. Anybody with a few bucks can buy a nice building or put a nice building together,
Right.
or afford some, restaurant equipment or whatever. But it really takes the right person to put that all together in the context of a culture that people want to be a part of.
Oh yeah, and you developed this menu just out of your head, right?
No, I wish. No, we had the blessing of a lot of our patrons to develop it, because as we sampled things and the kitchen manager, Sergio, and I would come up with stuff that we wanted to do or thought would be good, we would make it and then bring it to them and let them try it and get their feedback on it, and then kind of determine what would sell, what would be popular or not. And I had to put my own flavor profile aside, because I like spicy food. And I think one of the examples I gave Thursday was the alligator. So when we were going through our alligator and tasting the alligator, what I liked best was a spicier breading. And I'm like, okay, that's it. But other people, were too spicy. And they said no. And the kitchen manager's like, no, let's try, a notch down. And so we tried a notch down on the spice level and the breading. And that's what all the guests we sampled it with liked. And
As long as I can get the Sean version, that's what I want.
Right. So just the main, I guess, fish that you carry on a daily basis, not counting specials that are in season, like you had mentioned, stone crab or what? I think you said halibut.
halibut.
Or is that a
halibut's-
seasonal?
Halibut's not seasonal, really. Some of the seasonal things are like the stone crabs, Copper River salmon, lobster, certain lobsters like spiny tail lobsters from Florida, if you can find those. And there's other fish that are seasonal. The main menu is what was provided or offered at David's.
Right.
And so we're going to keep that. Some things have gone away, like my wife's favorite pot roast.
No.
But
That seems, we
we've
always
added-
talk about this pot roast, and are you going to be able to keep that away?
I mean, why are you getting rid of it?
I suspect there will be a pot roast cooking back there at some point. Am I right?
Well, it's funny you should say that. I was meeting with my kitchen manager, Sergio, this afternoon before we did this podcast.
Right.
And, it's the way we did it at David's, it's a 30-pound shoulder that he would cook at
Wow.
a time. And so that's why that's a lot of, and it's like, so what if we did that and then just, vacuum sealed some portions and popped it in the freezer? And so we might do it occasionally and then freeze it in 2-pound packages.
You can
Right.
send it over here. I'll take care of it. I'll
Thank you.
store it for you.
I appreciate that, John.
So I'm trying to think, Tim, and you help me with this one. we're in Midlothian today. If we wanted to go get some grilled halibut, where would we go?
Oh man, I tell you what, you know,
Not
a
in
lot
this
of the
town.
places around here
Is there-
serve
is-
stuff straight out of the Cisco truck. So
No,
not
I'm
those
just saying.
places.
I don't think you have. There's not another.
Certainly not. Well,
I don't want to use the word competition, but there's not.
yeah, there's not any fish. I mean, so we've got hibachios that serve some sushi.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, like they're not like you can't get a fillet or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't have anything.
I mean, so
And
I guess my
going
point-
out towards Waxahachie, I can't think of anything.
Right. So my
off.
point is, this is. I mean, this is a big deal. I know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I know. I think.
I mean, even Mansfield, who's ahead of us, and I'm using air quotes.
Well, they've
for that,
got
but-
Fish City Grill and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I would say that that's not to the caliber we're talking about. That's Fish City Grill is almost more like, I mean, I don't want to say the Chili's of fish places, but it's more of a casual dining place, not somewhere that you go to make a good impression on somebody or to really enjoy the feeling of walking in there knowing that everything's going to be on point all the time.
I'd
Yeah.
rather take people to Long John's.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And there's now a Fish City in Waxahachie,
Is there?
but
Okay.
they don't offer halibut.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we went there for dinner, and our what should have been a 1 hour dinner turned into a 3 hour dinner.
But not in a good way.
Not in a good way.
So when you,
but I will, again, they had only been open less than a month, and they have their growing pains to go through. Like we're going to have our growing pains to go through and experience, and people will say, "Oh, gee, this isn't David's, and you don't have this, and you don't have that," and that will be true. But we have other things.
Yeah,
well,
one
the
thing-
reality of it is, with all due respect, it's not David's, it's Wilson's.
Yes, that is the truth.
With your father's,
And
Legend.
everything that we've learned so
And
far.
culture.
and culture
Yeah.
involved.
I mean, as you know, sorry.
No, yeah.
But as you know, we either are our parents or we're opposite of our parents, and
Right.
our parents are always in us, whether they're here with us or not. And my father may not physically be here with me or us. However, he has imparted many things into my,
But
business.
And David's was the sum of a bunch of things that a bunch of people liked, and Wilson's is going to be that same thing, a sum of a bunch of things that a bunch of people like, and they may be different things. There's nothing to say that the people who come expecting David's won't leave going, this might be better. We don't know.
That's right. That's a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. But and then back to my point was, and I know we keep saying this, and you being the modest guy don't understand, or I'm sure you do, how great of a thing this is to have in our community, this restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have anything like this.
Well, and I'm sitting here like you really touched on something. Like he is modest. Now he is confident. I've sat here and I've picked up a couple times where he's like, "Yeah, I know I can make this work."
Yeah.
Or I know my food's good, but
Somebody say good luck. He
He's
goes,
also
I got this. I don't really need the luck, but I got this,
that
buddy.
that was one of the best.
I wake
things.
up doing this,
but
man.
at the same time, he's not over here, being a diva and expecting someone to pay tribute. He's over here saying, you know what, I want to provide a place for people, to go to experience this, and it's not about me. It's not about I'm someone famous that you should come to my restaurant. It's not like we go to Vegas and we go to the Gordon Ramsay restaurants, right? Just because Gordon Ramsay is famous. That's not what we're getting here. We're getting somebody who knows what he's doing, but is humble about it as well.
I mean, I'm excited. I suspect, I foresee in the future, I'm probably going to announce my candidacy for mayor from Wilson's Seafood, as soon as, Justin retires.
Well, you just moved and it still wasn't in city limits, Rob. So we're gonna have to talk.
And I rent a cot in the back of Wilson's to get me into the city limits. But
You can put a tent in my backyard.
So, John, you were trying to say something? You were going to ask.
No, I'm good. I completely forgot what I was.
He for,
Okay.
I can't
John-
get a word in edgewise with these two, so I'm just gonna run the camera.
Poor John. He's the most professional among us, and you know, with he and Rob here, or I'm sorry, with me and Rob here, and sometimes Tiffany. You know, John doesn't get the opportunity to talk, but you know, here's the reality is he's the most lovable of us all. So
he is. We couldn't do it without him in his giant building.
well, now I had scouted this out beforehand, and I am pleased to report that they are indeed going to have the poblano soup that I love so much. So my favorite thing is coming back. So
Yeah, so I guess May is when we should expect to see some movement over there if everything goes right. You know, it takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was.
do you have any? So I know this is obviously the big thing tying up all your time, but do you have any other projects in the works?
Oh,
There's always something in the works.
yeah. Let's talk about the other night. We were talking about basically your vision board, which some
Well,
We're putting them on the spot.
founders
now.
founders row opportunities.
I'm always looking for different things, and once we get into the community and have a better idea of some of the community needs, then we'll see how that we can incorporate that. There were several different thoughts that my wife and I discussed. One of the biggest things as simply the size of the restaurant. David sat 262 people, where the church seats 160. And so with a new building coming, we may just need some more space to expand. And so we have talked with Stephen about getting a spot next door for that and some different purposes. And, he's worked well with us and some of our, crazy ideas that we've talked about. But it always comes down to whatever goes next door, the portion closest to us, I get to choose before, anybody
First
else.
right.
Oh,
so I
first
get
right
first right.
refusal.
Someone told me
you
you're
ma-
quite the baker.
I enjoy baking, but my baking is different, and I don't know if this market is ready for it. Our big thing, even at David's, is about purity. So I think I gave the example last time about the fresh fish. We're in a landlocked city. You can't really get fresh fish. I mean, fresh fish to me, who grew up fishing on boats and would travel with the family, and we're trolling black marlin, and we catch a mahi, and we slice it up, and we make ceviche on the boat while we're trolling for marlin and start eating that.
Right.
That is fresh.
That's fresh.
And so there's the pure side of all of those ingredients. We're not putting a lot of stuff in it. Again, we do everything at the restaurant from scratch. So when I bake a loaf of bread, I'm not going to go buy flour that has been treated and bleached. I get unenriched, non-bleached flour, which costs more. And so all the ingredients that will cost me more, of course, translate into a higher price. So I'm not sure that whatever we do from the baking side, be it cakes or bread or however it works out, again, because of that purist perspective, the market can support the price that I would want for it.
Well, and you those are obviously very valid points, but also I'm interested to see if Midlothian can't support that. Demographically, we have a much higher mean and median income than surrounding cities, and so I think if there is a place to put a specialty bakery with top-notch ingredients, where
I'm there.
Yeah.
I mean, I love bread. I don't get this dad bod bite.
Well, there's that, but
free food.
you'd also talked about the idea of a market type thing where you can actually come in and get a fillet of whatever's fresh.
Yeah, there's lots of things and lots of ideas that flow because we don't hide our ingredients. We don't mind if you know. We want you to know what's in there. We don't want you to question. If you want to see my salmon, I'll show you a piece of salmon raw. You want me to show you a live little crawfish crawling around? I'll show you the crawfish that we drop in the water. I mean, we're proud of our ingredients, and so to take that to the next level and to have a market or store next door that you could buy a sack of crawfish and take home and boil on your own, or you wanted the our ribeye because you love our ribeye steak so much, or it's the halibut that you want, that it would be available there.
That would be so cool.
Well, I mean, if HEB is not going to put it in a central market, then
Exactly.
the whole city's ripe for your picking.
No, I guarantee it. It's gonna be a good thing.
So my
go ahead,
question, I remember what I was going to ask is,
All right.
you know, you have, so, you know, we know about the restaurant and your history in Cedar Hill, but what fuels your passion? I mean, how did you, I mean, because obviously you're not in restaurant business as a job. I mean, this is a passion. This is something that you strive, you know, to do every day. I mean, you live, breathe this business. I mean, so where do you get that passion from?
You know, I really get it from growing up in New Orleans and my dad being successful with the European restaurants in New Orleans. You know, he was the general manager of Brennan's for 25 years. And so in New Orleans, the back door where you went in is really right down from the front door. You just push a button and go in. And so I was blessed as a kid to be indoctrinated in that culture. We would go to dinners as a child, and you're sitting there with all these different sets of china and stuff, and you're eating the same thing the adults are, and you're just indoctrinated into that culture of everybody working together, of everybody working for the community. And they really did the same thing because they were getting fresh stuff every day. They were helping the homeless and the other charities and events that they could in New Orleans, and to where it becomes your life. And that's what it is. I mean, and that's why we have these friends in this, to use Rob's word, entourage. Yep. Because it is your life. You know, a quick date story. One of the first dates with my wife, we went to a wood-fired pizza place. And I said, okay, this is going to sound a little weird, but we'll probably order like 3 or 4 pizzas just so I can try them. But we're not going to eat them all. And you don't have to eat them all.
Right.
And yes, it's wasteful. I get that. However, as the foodie, and I'm always a foodie, you're dissecting or investigating and researching, trying to figure out what's next. During my 3-year hiatus or building Wilson's, we would travel and then we'd be in restaurants, and she would know when I went into the work mode and I was critiquing everything and watching everything that was going on. It becomes natural. But it goes back to, again, the indoctrination with my dad, and then that whole culture of the restaurants down there in New Orleans.
Yeah. Nice. I don't see anything wrong with that. I've been known to do that a time or two.
Yeah, Waffle House.
Yeah,
2 o'clock in the
I was
morning,
just
you
gonna
walk
say,
in, they go,
that
your
is
Waffle
true.
House
That
order.
is true. And
One of
we
everything.
can't, I'm not going to insult you by comparing my Waffle House trips to, your food critiquing, but I do. When I go to Waffle House, I order one of everything.
He does.
He's not joking. Yeah.
And
I like breakfast.
I have eaten and experienced a lot of different tastes on my palate from food and wine, but at the same time, when I get home, I eat the same old stuff. You're gonna ask my wife. I can eat rice and beans all day.
I can eat rice every meal.
Just rice and beans, and it kind of goes from the red beans and rice. That we grew up in New Orleans, but rice and beans. Just give me rice and beans, and I'm good.
Yep. So that reminds me of another thing. One thing I understand that Wilson's will do that David's didn't is you're going to incorporate brunch eventually.
Yes, eventually. That's we were Sergio and I were tinkering with it and had come up with the menu with the Cedar Hill. Then right now we just want to get the basics down in Midlothian because it's a new building. We have new equipment. We'll have some new staff. And we have lots of things to work out. And so once we do work that out, we will then start testing the brunch menu that we had there, see what the customer feedback is. And that'll probably, we'll probably start testing it in 6 months. And then once we test it, we'll do like, a Saturday, Sunday special. And then we'll do like our version of the Eggs Benedict or the Crab Cake Benedict. And we'll start tweaking that as a weekend special during the day before we roll it out on Sundays. And then we'll have our Sunday brunch.
Eggs
That'll be
Benedict
cool.
is my all-time favorite.
Yeah, you
breakfast
do
food,
like that.
period.
You know, the hollandaise sauce is the trick, and Sergio does it well. And you can pretty much tell when you go in, I can pretty much tell when you go into a place that uses a packaged hollandaise sauce versus they're making it from scratch. Because it's not easy to make from scratch.
I always compare Eggs Benedict to my favorite place in Vegas. Ooh, my mic is off. I always compare it to my favorite place in Vegas. It's called the Pepper Mill. So whenever I get an opportunity to go there, you know, that's the first thing I order is the Eggs Benedict because that's just all my all-time favorite. So I'm an addicted.
I could eat
Eggs
breakfast at
Benedict
all time.
fan.
So is the building done, or
The building really, for the most part, is done. There's are just tweaks going on, and you have an old building, and you measure something out, and you can put on in a schematic, and you think it's going to fit, and it doesn't fit. And so we have challenges like that, and again, there's always something,
right?
and so that just happens.
Does it have an upstairs?
There is a set of stairs,
Okay.
but it's not really upstairs for seating or anything.
Is it the old balcony? Is that what it is, or?
Well, it's supposed to be an office and storage, but it's really primarily access to the HVAC equipment.
Well, I was just wondering because, your neighbor Porchport, they have an upstairs seating area, and it makes it hard for some people to get up the stairs. I was just wondering if you guys were going to have the same kind of...
No.
Okay.
I'm looking into the possibility, because for us upstairs, there are 2 little decks. And to do a special event on one of those decks would be fun. You can watch fireworks up there. I mean, it's not big. It would feed maybe 10 people with a couple of tables.
What I'm hearing is the word exclusive.
VIP badge.
Yes.
I can have my VIP badge.
Man, we got to really start working on this entourage.
I gotta go get some more Eagle Rare.
I'm getting inducted into this entourage.
The thing I'm going to miss at the end of this is the thing we've never had before, which is someone clapping for us.
Right.
Clapping.
I know. That's why I'm saying I as long as everybody is okay with it, and mainly Sean, I mean, when we wrap up here, we'll let him listen to what the Thursday's podcast and how it came out. And if he gives his blessing, we can release it along with this one with just, hey, we screwed up, on the sound, because it was a really good
If
time.
nothing else, I'm going to get John to have some sort of artificial applause incorporated into. Just like that.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Well, that didn't take long, did it?
See, I'm telling you, John is the most professional among us. So,
But no,
regarding the previous podcast, I haven't seen it. But from my philosophy in life, if you want food and wine advice, come to me.
Yeah.
You don't come to me for podcast advice.
right.
Okay.
Well-
if you like it, publish it.
Well,
if you don't,
yeah.
then don't. It's on you guys, not me.
Well, the content was. I mean, I think Tim's. Did I interrupt you again? I'm just getting
You do it
so
all the
used to this.
time.
do it all the time. Well, what I was telling Sean earlier is, he doesn't put out a piece of fish that's raw or is improperly cooked or just poor quality. It's the same thing with us. I didn't feel like it elevated you to the level that you need to be, and I wasn't proud of it. It was horrible, the sound, and so that's why we're redoing it.
But the content was incredible. It's like
was, and
I think
sometimes it's hard to
either Tim or
reproduce
John said, he goes, well, How do we recreate gold? You know,
And I'm good with it either way.
so
I mean, it is an absolute. You are a treasure to our community, and it is an absolute joy to have you here. I mean, twice especially.
yeah.
But
Well, that's twice the paycheck, right?
right, yes,
Absolutely.
But you know,
yeah.
we're gonna have another episode after the grand opening. We're gonna have a little party here. I think we're gonna have maybe some bourbon tasting, and we're gonna sit here and do another podcast and let everybody
it.
know what we thought and how awesome it was, and maybe sip some bourbon and have a good time.
Well, how mobile could this be?
We can do
Totally.
it. We
I
can do it at your. Yes.
That's why we bought all this news
Look here.
equipment. We can totally take this and set up at the restaurant. We can do anything. Plus, we have a mobile 4-track. So, I mean,
Right there.
6 months or so down the line, I think it would be fun. But your critique has to be honest, because I know we're not perfect. To do it at the patio, just
Well, absolutely.
just come to the patio.
Sold.
And then we'll say, okay, 6 months. You know, y'all have eaten here a couple times.
but we don't even have to use that, Rob. I mean,
we'll have the producer
Yeah, we've
contact
got-
you.
Okay.
I'm just saying we've got all kinds of equipment.
yeah,
so.
we're completely mobile. That's when Rob went out and purchased this new equipment. You know, we made sure that we could take it wherever we wanted to, because we had thought about maybe doing some spots at Woodrow's and other places. But I think mobile podcasts would be fun. You know, some events to set up.
Yeah, they would be.
So
Yeah.
let's try it.
Let's
Let's
try
do
it.
it.
Absolutely.
We'll have a little issue with background noise, but I think that'll kind of add to it. So we are getting close on time, guys.
Yeah, we are. Well,
Anything else we want to talk about here?
Anything else you want to talk about or
So we're
address
talking about May,
the
right?
community?
May,
May.
23.
May, I didn't say what year. I just said the month May.
Yeah, yeah. But it's getting close, guys.
it is-
It's getting close.
Yeah.
You can see the buildings about ready to go, and
I live right over there. I'm going to stop by on the way home.
Have you had anybody just walk in yet and take their own self-guided tour? Because we heard some of your neighbors had that happen.
That I'm aware of, only one person has walked in and done that I was there of. And
I just
said,
couldn't do that.
And I'm just like, can I help you?
It's like walking into someone's house without knocking, you know? It's like, come on.
Oh,
It's a little
when
bit
I built my
different.
last house, the entire neighborhood was being built, and everybody was going in everybody's houses as they were being built.
oh, I'm sure. What just curiosity? I mean,
I walked into Porch Pour several times to see what was going on there and see what I could learn, from what they were doing.
yeah.
Well, guys, we really appreciate
you're a
your time,
neighbor.
Sean.
Right, we're neighbors.
Yeah.
Ashton and Tanya are great. I've enjoyed working with them and getting to know them. As you know, they've been there for a year now. They're good people.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on again,
We appreciate the second time around.
and
Twice as much.
let's go. We're ready. May can't get here quick enough.
I am super pumped about this. I really am.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And guys, we want to remind you to hit the like and subscribe button at the bottom of the page. We really appreciate that, and we appreciate everyone's time.
And then if you want to go to wilsonsseafood.com
Yes.
and learn more about the restaurant and see the menu.
Sign up for the grand opening.
Sign up
maybe
for the
figure-
sign up for the grand opening with the other 800 people.
Now you're what talking about potentially some sort of lottery system to
No.
handle the.
We haven't figured it out. It may turn out to be a grand opening week, and we'd probably do something simple like alphabetically, or the first ones that requested it.
Well,
you know,
good
to
thing
send it to
Cement
them.
City Chatter podcast is in the sea, so it's close to the front.
We'll get in there somehow.
Yeah.
Well, you get the +1.
I know.
Oh, yeah,
Nana's
yeah.
got you as a
If I'm
+1.
nice to Nana,
Well, be nice.
Yeah,
to
some of
Ah,
our
be
listeners
nice
don't
to
know
them.
that his
Always
mom
nice
is
to
already
them.
a
I'm going to
V-
crash
VIP.
that party. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's happening.
we'll get it figured out. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. We're just ecstatic to bring you Sean Wilson here. I hope you learned a lot. Questions were answered, and we'll see you at Wilson's Seafood here in about a couple months. See you.